the meeting back to order. Before we broke, Mr. Barrett had his hand up. We're in open committee business. Go ahead, Mr. Barrett, please.
Well, thanks very much, Chair. Look, I don't feel, having heard from the minister, that we're any further ahead. Frankly, we heard a lot that the minister's unable to corroborate. And this revelation that wasn't offered in the minister's first appearance before the committee, that he talked and texted with, he talked and texted with Mr. Henderson on the dates in question. That seems to be basic opening statement level details that he would have provided on his first appearance before the committee. So I'd like to move, given today's testimony, the committee expanded study in the Minister of Employment, Workforce Development and Official Languages and call related witnesses.
And call
related witnesses.
I heard him say call related witnesses.
Mm-hmm. Period.
Yeah, I didn't. Point of order. Yeah, we didn't hear that either. So please, could you read it out maybe slowly?
Just repeat it again, Mr. Barrett, please. Sure.
Given today's testimony,
yes,
the committee expanded study on the Minister of Employment, Workforce Development and Official Languages and call related witnesses.
Okay. Fairly straightforward. I suspect that those related witnesses, you would want the committee members to submit names of related witnesses, or do you want us?
As is the committee's practice.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I'm going to accept it. Ms. Shanahan, I had you not on the motion. The motion's been moved. So we're going to speak to the motion right now, and I'm going to start a list, Ms. Shanahan, and then followed by Ms. Khalid. Go ahead, Ms. Shanahan.
Chair, still finding my feet in this committee, but from what I heard today and the time that I've had to review previous testimony and the work that this committee has done, and the clarification that indeed the Commissioner of Conflict of Interest and Ethics has reviewed this matter, the independent commissioner, may I say, the commissioner who's not there to score political points, but the commissioner that is there to review the facts, to interview the person in question, the commissioner that acts under a law that we have put in place here in Parliament to deal with these very issues of conflict of interest, of dealing either with MPs or with ministers, that it's been not once, not twice, but 3 times that the commissioner has come back with a conclusion, a letter, a report saying that indeed that there is that this allegation does not stand under scrutiny. And I think it actually will be interesting, and I know that it's coming up in a different study, but given that the Commissioner does, it's part of the mandate of this committee to review the Commissioner's work, we can have a better understanding, because I think it was Mr. Green that was questioning the quality of the Commissioner's work and what he can and can't do and so on and so forth. I don't know if we start having a court of scope, okay, if we start having, judicial powers in dealing with conflict of interest issues, I think that's going to be a whole other ball of wax. yeah, where it could be, used as, for example, a political or partisan arm, weapon against anybody that the majority decides, should be on the receiving end of that. And so that is where I really feel that this. I read the evidence. I looked at it again. I listened carefully to all the questions that were asked. I asked my own questions. There's really nothing more to be said. It's all been clearly dealt with. And, Chair, I just want to, because, des fois, les commettants dans mon comté,
Because at times I have people in my riding who ask me about the committee work and how they can verify and follow up on the work being done by MPs and ministers. And as I was saying, sometimes there are false scandals. So they ask me the question, what is going on, Ms. Shanahan? There needs to be a way for us to see into these allegations, and we want to have confidence in our MPs, in our ministers. So what's going on in Ottawa? So how is it possible that there's always someone crying out for a false scandal? So we're faced with this, and we're talking about text messages and Purelator and other things. I mean, is this why we send MPs to Ottawa? Members of Parliament who are making a good living for themselves, we all know. And people know about what we make, the budgets that are available to us, and people we end up employing. So, I mean, is this all for us to sit down and talk about text messages and Purelator? It's really strange. And especially when I explain to them, and I'm very pleased with the answers provided by the minister today, and I might do a little clip out of that to put on social media. It's not really my generation, but I'm trying to do my best, Mr. Chair, with all this new technologies and platforms. But the point of that would be to show the manner in which the minister answered the questions and how the procedure with the commissioner unfolded and how he responded to the commissioner's questions and whether this is a comprehensive procedure or a procedure in which people can have faith and trust. And people will see that it was a question of text messages and Purelator. So there might be something in all of this that maybe I missed parts of Mr. Anderson's testimony, but based on what I heard from colleagues, it appears that he's not a very reliable character. But we are talking more about the minister, and the minister provided all the information, all of his records and logs. If we could look into everyone's phones, I think Michael was here, both Michaels were here, and I was here at this committee. We were talking about emails and the use of parliament resources by political parties. And at one point in time, I was a Conservative. I was a member of the Conservative Party. And I think it was in 2019, 2020, and 2021 even, that fundraising emails from the Conservative Party of Canada were being sent out from their parl.gc.ca addresses, so from their parliamentary email accounts. So the use of parliamentary resources for partisan purposes might be an interesting topic for us to look into. But when we're talking about this motion that is before us, it's not even a witch hunt, because there is no witch.
Il n'y a pas de social.
So there is no witch. There's nothing there. It's just a simple text message exchange and the boring message from Purelator. It's not really business dealings in any way. It's just a phone number that's left somewhere in some database or something, and then there was just a call. So it's nothing exciting. But it's clear that it makes for very interesting discussions when we're out here speculating and saying, well, we don't have confidence, and conservatives, well, that's their position, and Mr. Green doesn't seem to have confidence in the work that has been done, so he might maybe explain to us what he would have liked to see from the Commissioner of Ethics. But it looks like some of our colleagues here think that the work that was done was not very comprehensive, but me personally, I was never involved in the business world, but he does his work in a very good manner. He asks all the questions, he asks for information, and all of the information and the answers that are collected are open to public scrutiny, and it's very interesting to look into those records just to see information about MPs, but other staff that works here. Of course, and there are reasons why the Parliament introduced these procedures, because we needed a way for the public opinion to have an idea as to the profile of their MPs. They have the right to know that. And because, of course, we're dealing with millions and billions of dollars in our business here, for members of the government, especially, that is the case. And I think it was in the 80s or the 90s, maybe the analysts could help me with that, when the law was introduced, the law that created the office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner. 2006. Okay. So it's quite modern. But of course, there are still updates that could be brought to the legislation. I know that there is a 5-year review, for instance, but in 2006, the Parliament considered it important to have this independent office, and that it shouldn't be left to the Ethics Committee. And it was in the time of Mr. Mulrooney, and I was lucky enough to meet him once. Maybe he made mistakes in his lifetime, but he also delivered great services for the country. So the ethics committee of the time was dealing with many files, but it was considered that it would be appropriate for the public opinion to have the relevant information when it comes to these sorts of issues, because it's not about squashing an opponent. That's not why we do this, and I take it for granted that our colleagues are not in it for that purpose. We are simply doing this to reassure Canadians and Quebecers that everything follows the due process. And when there is a violation, it is taken care of. And there are a whole list of consequences when that is the case. But in this case, we've seen that it's been at 3 different times that the commissioner concluded that the allegations and the accusations.
Wait.
Sorry, we don't have the language of the motion still.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask him for
Ah, c'est une bonne idée. Oui, 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 c'est le langage.
the language of the motion in our emails, and I'm wondering if that's being sent.
The clerk is working on it right now.
I can send that to you.
It's a very simple motion, but we're gonna send it out to members of the committee now, okay? Go ahead,
Est-ce que c'est vrai, Monsieur le Président,
Is it true, Mr. Chair, that we still don't have the translation or the text of the motion? The clerk is working on it, on the motion's translation, and once it's done, we'll be sharing it with the members. Well, I, for one, would like to see, I like seeing things in writing before me. Because when you're just listening to something verbally, you might miss some elements. So if we can wait until we have the text in writing.
that we just suspend until we get the written language?
it's being delivered right now, so
Okay.
it's very simple. Go ahead.
Okay, it's coming
Go
into
ahead.
coming into the phone. Okay, good thing I had the charger. Thank you so much to Anthony. Okay. Non, moi je l'ai pas encore.
I still don't have it. Yeah, I still haven't received it.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no, we're.
Non,
we're
okay.
continuing.
Well, je peux continuer.
I can carry on then. I'd like to reassure people in my writing that in this text message situation, the ethics commissioner concluded at 3 occasions that what the Minister Boissonneau told us, and he shared the information he shared with us at multiple occasions, and he explained a timeline to us. The commissioner concluded that that was the truth and that the matter is closed, and that the Minister Boissonneau did nothing wrong. So it shows, Mr. Chair, that the wisdom of the parliamentarians that introduced this law and created this independent office was fully justified. and there might be some parliamentarians who are frustrated, maybe. Maybe they would like to go back.
Court,
Maybe they would like to go back to a kangaroo court. I don't know the term in French, but if you can let me know. But we all know what a kangaroo court means, at least in English. That is to say, having random people who would question and judge and then condemn someone. But that is not how we function in a fair society with laws and regulations. And these laws and regulations are in place not to protect MPs. Because, Mr. Chair, I don't know if you experienced this personally, but when you get a request or an email from the office because you missed something in your declaration, sometimes you're not too happy with that, but at least it shows that the system is functional. So I'd like to reassure the people in my riding that the system is functioning. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, merci.
Thank you, Ms. Shanahan.
I will say, like you, I get asked many times, I know you brought this at the onset of your remarks about the Ethics Committee, and particularly chairing the Ethics Committee, and what's the function. Well, we have a clear mandate of what our function is, but you know, I tell people in my riding, as you tell people in your riding, that it's an oversight committee, and there's a majority of opposition members on this committee for a reason, not just this committee, but government operations and public accounts, and that is to hold the government to account, and I think we do that job very, very well. Ms. Khalid, go ahead, please. On the motion from Mr. Barrett.
Thank you, Chair. I think Ms. Shanahan made a lot of excellent points, and I'll be brief. I will speak to 3 reasons as to why I cannot support this motion. The first is with respect to timing, as you have indicated many, many times, Chair, and the reason why our work on social media, our work on disinformation, misinformation, has been so prolonged is because of the timing, because of the scheduling, and you've clearly outlined that. I don't agree with this motion because I think that we've heard from the Ethics Commissioner 3 occasions to say there is not a violation based on our rules of conduct with the Ethics Commissioner, and I leave that be. The second is with respect to witnesses. There aren't any listed on this motion. It seems again like this is just broadening the scope to the point where it could be anything and everything, which doesn't help the work that this committee is doing. It makes us less efficient. It makes us basically wasting resources of the House. And as you said, Chair, that if there is a purpose to this committee is to provide that oversight, this motion does not help in achieving that purpose. And the last is, again, with the purpose, we're not achieving the purpose of what this committee is supposed to be doing with this motion. And so with that, I will conclude my remarks and say that I will be voting against this motion, and I'm happy to go to a vote now.
Thank you, Ms. Khalid. Mr. Fisher, go ahead, please, on the motion.
MP Khalid just said basically everything that I was planning on saying. I'm not interested in supporting this motion.
Okay, thank you. I do not have any other hands, so the motion moved by Mr. Barrett is on the floor. Do we have consensus on the motion as proposed by Mr. Barrett? We don't, so I'm going to call the... We don't, I said, right? Did I say that? So we're going to call the vote. Madam Clerk, if you want to call the vote, please.
The vote is on the motion moved by Mr. Barrett. Mr. Baines. I consider it closed, this matter. No.
Ms. Shanahan.
No.
Mr. Fisher. Mr. Housewater.
No.
Ms. Khalid.
No.
Mr. Barrett.
Yay.
Mr. Caputo.
Oui.
Mr. Cooper. Monsieur Villemur.
No.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Yeas 4, nays 6.
Okay, so the motion fails. I don't see any other business, so I am going to adjourn the meeting. We'll see you all next Tuesday.